always at the stick. Who's got it better than us to brick by brick? It's always the 49ers way, from offseason to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
OBS hates me. It truly does. It just hates everything about me, and that's okay. That's totally fine, because I don't blame OBS for hating me. I truly don't. It's fine. I force it to do a lot of stuff all the time. But look, breaking. Jordan Willis is back in San Francisco. He's re-signed. Jordan Willis. It's just Jordan Willis, not Patrick Willis. It's not Patrick Willis. Jordan Willis is back. Jordan Willis has re-signed with San Francisco per the San Francisco 49ers of all people, not some other source. The Niners have come out and said so. So there's that. And what are you talking about Willis? I mean, what are we talking about Willis? Jordan Willis back in San Francisco. That's a big thing for the 49ers. Good for them. Good for the situation. But I think this means now, folks, there is no defensive ends. No defensive ends coming. No big name free agents. No big name DNs. Nothing. Nothing is happening with that. No, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that Niners all day. What do you mean? How about them Chiefs? Oh man, the Niners not going all in. Mike McDaniels and the Miami Dolphins 100% all in on Tua Tagovailoa. Oh goodness. Coffee and TCC, the perfect place to be. You're not wrong, Gary. You're really not. You're really not wrong, man. Wow, so Jordan Willis back. I'm waiting to see what the contract details are going to be, but this now feels like the San Francisco 49ers have no intentions to bring anybody big in. They're about re-signing, adding depth, getting some pieces in place. Shans Richardson just said our front office sucks. It feels like everyone is watching everyone else make moves, and the Niners are just, we're standing fast with this team. Arden Key still floating around. Said I believe is that Jason? Or is that 420 Savage? There's 420 Savage there. 420 Savage. They're talking about Arden Key still floating around. He is. He is still floating around. As of right now, though, he's taking visits with other teams. He's doing his thing in other ways. And the San Francisco 49ers are kind of holding fast and steadying fast at the moment with their current pieces in place. That's what they're doing. And I don't blame them necessarily for standing fast and not going crazy with some of the stuff and with what's going on in free agency. This has not been something they have done in the past. It truly hasn't. This hasn't been something that they do. They usually don't go after big name free agents. They usually bring back players, re-sign players, go after cheap options, and make trades. Trades is usually what they do. Now they're not making trades. They're not making trades for Tyreke Hill, unlike the Jets and the Dolphins were trying to do. But they do make trades for certain pieces, and sometimes they do go all in with trades and bringing in big names. But as of now, it's Jordan Willis. Jordan Willis is the guy who is back in the fold in San Francisco. He is the one that has re-signed with the 49ers, and it is an interesting situation there with what's going on. I know there are bigger things going on in the world of trades and options and guys being brought back into the fold. But this is a 49ers channel, and we got to talk about the 49ers news first in order to know for sure, well, at least in order to talk about it. 1 year deal is what it's looking like for the 49ers. Nothing yet per the contract or the details. I imagine it's going to be ridiculously cheap. I don't imagine this to be a big number. This is depth. This is a piece who has developed and grown in the system. This is a guy who has played really well, was a special teams hero in the playoffs, obviously. This just kind of makes sense. Everything about what Jordan Willis has done, what they gave up for him, which was pick swaps with the Jets before Robert Saleh was there, just kind of fits into what the scheme is and what they want to do with the rotation, and also may shed some light into what the 49ers believe they have in Samson Ebukam and Charles Omenihu. They may think they have two really solid pieces there in those two gentlemen, and that you don't have to necessarily go out and get a big name right now in free agency at the DN position. That maybe not have to let Arden Key walk, but you don't have to necessarily overpay for a guy like Arden Key because you have pieces around that you think you can plug and play around the guys that you have. So listen, I don't think this isn't the name everyone wants to see. These aren't the things you want to do, but you have to keep your depth intact in the front seven, and this move does that. It does shore that up. How do you grade this offseason so far, says Chauncey Monk? It's about a C. It's a C. It's not terrible. It's not great. It's right in the middle. It's average. Most 49ers offseasons, or free agencies anyway, feel this way. Most 49ers free agencies under the Kyle Shanahan era feel like this. Other than early on where they signed some big name guys, and those guys got hurt and weren't able to contribute, they haven't really done this a lot. They haven't really gone out and gotten big names. But here's the thing. This C free agency period for the San Francisco 49ers is not worse than anyone else in the NFC West. What has anyone in the NFC West? What else has anyone in the NFC West done? I know people are going to talk about the Rams and then bringing in Allen Robinson, but you, ipso facto, traded away Robert Woods for not a lot of compensation. Your starting left tackle retired. Your starting middle linebacker, you did not tender. So he's a free agent walking around out there looking to get big money. They still have holes in the running back spot. They have more holes in the O-line than ever before. You didn't bring back Von Miller, and you haven't replaced Von Miller with a bigger name. Sorry, phone's on. The ringer's on because news could still break, and I don't want to miss it. I can't afford to miss it. There's all this possibility and things that could happen. So I'm not, I'm not sitting here going, whew, man, like the Niners haven't done anything. They haven't done the things I think people wanted them to do. I think people wanted to trade Jimmy, in that because you haven't traded Jimmy, it's an F. No, because there's other ways for you to free up cap space, and the Niners have already shown they will do that. Tyreke and Mostert on the same team, says Niners all day. And yeah, you want speed. Mike McDaniels has got speed. You definitely have speed going on there. They are not short in the speed category. Donald says, I'm thinking Jimmy G will play out his contract with the Niners. It's possible. It's possible. Samson, I was disappointed with his 420 Savage. I get that. I get why some people were disappointed. I think they wanted him to come in and have a bigger impact right away. And Ant and I both said there was going to be kind of a learning curve with him when we got Samson Ebukam and brought him into the fold. He was very talented by all means, extremely talented as a guy who had been kind of playing in a hybrid role, walking down at times and playing in coverage at times. But he had never really played a traditional hand in the ground, defensive end on base rundowns. So it was always going to be a challenge. Here's the thing though. By the end of last season, he was absolutely phenomenal versus the run. I know people wanted to see bigger sack numbers and stuff, but he was phenomenal against the run. And when teams did one-on-one single him up with Arden Key next to him on the interior, him and Arden Key were getting after the quarterback. So I think Samson Ebukam is in a great spot to even build upon what he did last season, which was being phenomenal against the run, being a guy you could anchor down, set the edge, get off blocks, and make tackles at the line of scrimmage and make contact at the line of scrimmage, and also be able to still apply the pressure. And who knows, maybe he takes over. If you don't bring back Arden Key, he could move on to the interior and take over that role. It could take over that role. I'll take it. I'll love it. Also, Harris, wow, Jordan Willis, big moves. It's not a big move, but it shows up your depth. It shows up your rotation, and also may give some insight into where the 49ers front office feels with the core they currently have, with Bosa, with Samson Ebukam, bringing back Jordan Willis into this mix as well, and what you have with Charles Omenihu. Maybe they feel really big on Charles Omenihu. He graded out as one of the best Niners pass rushers, not named Nick Bosa. Outside of Nick Bosa, he was the next best guy in terms of applying pressure in the snaps that he was on the field. So they may feel like, hey, we're going to increase this guy's role and we could see a huge uptick in production. That's possible. That is definitely possible. Gary, you're not wrong. Everyone needs to smash that like button right now and comment away. I'm thinking Jimmy G will play out his contract. I saw that one already. Seahawks got 3 years of picks. That's true, Chauncey. They got 3 years worth of picks. Only got one of those picks back for, or actually 2 of those picks back for this year. You have to hit on those picks, man. You have to hit on those picks. They significantly downgraded at quarterback. They're still significantly downgraded at the O-line. Seahawks haven't really done anything other than move off of Russell Wilson. That's it. They've gotten some picks. They got some players back, but it doesn't shore up holes they have across the board in other places. You have to hit on those picks. As much as people talk about the Niners not doing well with draft picks, they've hit in a lot of places. Maybe they haven't hit as much in the first round as people like, but they hit in the second, they hit in the third, they hit in the fourth, they hit in the fifth, they hit in the sixth, they've hit in the seventh. They hit with undrafted guys. They hit. That's why their team is constantly able to stay competitive, despite the fact that they are able to let some guys go and let guys walk away. Do you think we're still going to be good, says Ivan? Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind we're going to be good. I have no doubt. I don't have concerns right now. Nothing that has happened so far makes me go, man, we have no shot. The NFC is as weak as it's ever been. All the talent has gone to the AFC. Tyreke Hill just changed teams and stayed in the AFC. It doesn't feel like we're out of it right now. It really doesn't feel like we're out of it. It feels like we're completely in this, and that we're building differently than everybody else. So here's what you have going on right now. You have teams, coaches, players, things of that nature, seeing what the Rams did last year, right? Seeing the moves they made, going all in, building a super team, right? Building the super team and winning a Super Bowl. So now you have teams replicating, matching, right? Teams trying to basically take the formula, duplicate it so that we get the same desired outcome. That can work. It 100% can. Blueprints can sometimes transfer over to different situations. The problem is you have a lot of teams doing that. Like the entire AFC West is doing that. A lot of teams duplicating, trying to do the same thing. And when that happens, when you have two, it's going to not work for somebody, and it could not work for all of them. Right? You can either buck the trend or you can be a part of the trend. That's how it works in the NFL. The Niners, when they came in, when you brought in Kyle Shanahan, you could buck the trend of being pass-heavy offenses with 4 or 5 wide receivers and slinging the ball 50 times a game, or you could be a part of that trend. The Niners bucked the trend. They went heavy run. Power run game. Outside zone. Right? Running the football. Getting after the quarterback, not going after the big-name guys. And they stayed relevant. They stayed not only relevant, but 2 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl appearance. And, a handful of series away from being a Super Bowl champion. They bucked the trend and found success. The rest of the league now is going a direction with the trend. Buying your teams all in. What are the Niners doing? Nope, we're staying here. We're going to develop our guys. We're going to draft. We're going to sign, lower level budget gentlemen, bring them in and see what we can do. They're bucking the trend again. I'm going to have faith that the bucking of the trend is going to work and that they have a plan in place that can do what it needs to do for this team. Is it fun watching everybody else sign guys? No. Is it fun with us bringing back Jordan Willis while the Miami Dolphins are trading for Tyreke Hill? No. But you know what the Miami Dolphins haven't been in the playoffs? You know what the Miami Dolphins haven't done in a longer amount of time than San Francisco 49ers won a Super Bowl? They have to try and do something different. Like they have to. They have to try and bet on themselves and do this here. And they feel they have the coach in place with McDaniels to do that. They've signed the big name free agents. They had the money to do it. They feel like they have the quarterback in Tua. And so they're betting on themselves. The Niners were already a really good roster. You don't have to necessarily do that in order to still compete. Now, you got to do something. You got to do something at some point. And let's not forget, they did do something, right? They did do something. They did something they have not done during the Kyle Shanahan era, which was pay a young cornerback top money to come play and secure up your secondary. So it's not like they haven't done anything. I just don't think they've done as much as people would like. And I don't blame you for that. You're looking at this roster and thinking, you bring some of these names in, right? You bring these people into this fold with this team as it's currently constituted, with a young Trey Lance with a big, fat, huge, gigantic arm who can sling the ball 10,000 miles. With Kyle Shanahan calling plays, with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell, you bring these big names in. How can this not lead to a Super Bowl, guys? Why won't you just do that? I get it, because I feel a very similar way. But at the same time, too, there's multiple ways to cut up a pig, eat an elephant. Like, there's multiple ways to attack this problem of building a Super Bowl roster and winning a Super Bowl. There's tons. The easiest way is free agency, right? Signing guys, giving them big amounts of money, bringing them into the fold, moving off of Jimmy Garoppolo. That was always going to be the easiest way to do it. And it doesn't seem like right now the Niners are going to take the easy path. It's either going to work or it's not, right? It's either going to work or it's not, or it's going to fail miserably this year and, you have to go back to the drawing board next year. That is possible. But I'm willing to give this front office and the coaching staff the benefit of the doubt, because I just don't know. It could be a positive thing for the San Francisco 49ers. It really, really could. Let's get back to the chat. I'm done. I'm done with my rant. I've ranted far too long. You're not just here to listen to me rant. We're here to talk. Now the AFC's so stacked. Does that mean most of the teams are gonna be hurt during the season? Says Ivan. It could. It could mean they're gonna get hurt. What it really means is they're gonna bang each other up. There's no gimmies in the AFC, especially if you're in the AFC West, right? It's like the AFC West was pretty good last year. It was really good last year. Like the NFC West and the AFC West, pretty good. Now not so good, or now really great. NFC West not so good. So there's no games off. There's no easy opponents. It's a grind. It's a battle the whole way through. Rams are innovative. It took them 5 years of aggressive trading, says brand new. You're right. Innovative. I mean, listen, being aggressive for 5 years and failing 4 of the 5 years, I wouldn't say that that's innovative, right? I think that's more of throwing things against a wall and hoping something sticks, and something eventually did. So you finally got it right. But look, that's the same with anything though. Brand new, right? You could falter. You could be organizations like the Jets, the Browns for a very long time, the Dolphins for a long time, the Giants for a long time, who are consistently bottom of the barrel and have top 5 draft picks every year, drafting guys trying to rebuild a team, drafting quarterbacks hoping to rebuild the franchise, and you're throwing it against the wall hoping one of them sticks, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. It's that way no matter what. There are a lot of different ways to go about that same sort of methodology, and whether it's drafting, whether it's trading for players, whether it's giving up your future in order to mortgaging your future for your the present. The problem is you can only do that for so long. You're only going to have so many draft picks, and the further you start going into the future to give away your future in order to make sure you can win now, at some point that all catches up to you. It truly does. I mean, the Chiefs are a prime example of this, right? Mahomes' contract is massive and gigantic. The minute you do that, dominoes are going to start to fall somewhere. You're not going to be able to keep guys around, keep those pieces. You have to start doing things slightly differently. It just came, I think, a lot sooner than people expected. I don't think people were like, oh, Tyreke Hill not in Kansas City next year. Probably they'll find a way to make it work, especially with the salary cap going up. It doesn't make sense with the salary cap going up. Why would they have to move off him? It's because he wants stupid amounts of money. And I don't blame Tyreke Hill for wanting stupid amounts of money. But when you start paying guys obscene amounts of money in contracts, the more of those guys that you start to bring in, the harder it is to retain and keep all those pieces, which means at some point you're going to have to start rebuilding. The Rams aren't there yet, but they will be there at some point. At some point, they will be. Tyreke Hill isn't with the Chiefs now. The Juju signing doesn't look that good. Luke Luna, you're not wrong. It doesn't. It doesn't look as good now. They're going to have to go make some other moves. Now, Marquez Valdes-Scantling is in Kansas City today, so maybe that's the route that they're going to go. Big, tall, speedy wide receiver to replace Tyreke Hill, but that's not going to necessarily replace all the things that he does in that offense. Having a $27 million backup QB is a disaster. Sitting your young QB for 2 years of his rookie deal is less than spectacular, too. The advantage of having a QB on a rookie deal is negated if you do that, says Mr. Dayday 4641, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It does negate that. It does negate that. But we also could all be dead wrong about Trey Lance being the future. We don't know. Like, it's still up in the air. It still has to be proven. He still has to go do it for an 18-week season in the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. Like he's still got it. Still got to do it. Now, the argument to that, the counter to that, obviously is going to be, right, well, if you don't build a team around him, how is he going to do that? Agreed with you there too. 100% agreed with you. But everyone said last year that if you took Trey Lance and put him in the current roster as it's currently constituted, we win a Super Bowl. There was a lot of people who are pro Trey that believe that. And as someone who is pro 49er starting quarterback, I don't care who it is, I don't know if I necessarily believed it, but Trey's got a lot of upside, right? So if Trey has a lot of upside and you can basically rebuild the same roster you had last year, and you kind of already have most of the key pieces in place, you just have a few things you got to shore up, then what are we worried about? There's only a few things to do. There's only have to do a few things, which means it doesn't have to happen on March 16th. It can happen any time between now and OTAs and training camp. So there's no reason to panic. There's tons of time and a few moves that need to be made in order to shore up things that we're concerned about. And again, some of those things may already be on the roster. We don't know what Aaron Banks' development is, right? We don't know where he's at. We don't know where Aubrey Thomas will be between now and the start of the regular season. The nickel spot is obviously a big question mark for the 49ers right now in the secondary. Who's your starting safety? Is it Tarvarius Moore? Is it Talanoa Hufanga? Is it someone else? And the Niners going to draft somebody in the draft? But there's a lot of time. So, I mean, there's no reason to panic right now. I do agree with you. I don't know about having a $27 million backer is a disaster. I think it's just not ideal. It's not ideal because you want to be able to build a better team around Trey, and having extra $25 million to do that makes that a lot easier, right? But is it a disaster? No, it's just not ideal, right? If Trey were to get injured at some point during next season, do you feel better, Mr. Dede? Do you feel better with Nate Sudfeld rolling out there or Jimmy Garoppolo to win you one football game? Just one. We all know that Jimmy can win just one football game. He can win more than one football game. He's done that numerous times in his career, right? It's not ideal, but it's not a disaster. It's definitely not a disaster. Let's see. Let's see what else. Now let's get that revenge Super Bowl against Kansas City, says John Paul. If they can make it out. I don't know if they can, man. That's rough. It is rough. Hill, 4 years, 120 million, says 420 Savage. You're not wrong, my guy. You got Bruce Buffer as your moderator, lucky. Basically, Stream Elements is anything we want him to be, man. Anything we want him to be. How about them Niners? This rookie deal topic is low-key casual at times. Low-key casual at times from most, because Mills is on the rookie deal. But if the roster you take a year with a proven guy who is involved in getting to the Super Bowl, again, there's a lot of ways to tackle it, right? I get what people are saying with the rookie pay scale. I understand it. It's not wrong. It's a lot easier to build a team when you don't have to pay your quarterback, 19-20% of your budgeted allowed, money to build a roster, right? If 20% of it's going to one player, it's a lot harder to build a talented team around your guys. I get that. I truly do get it. What do you think about right tackle situation and now our entire O-line with Lincoln gone as well? I'm worried. Are you not? I'm concerned, Chauncey. Concerned, right? Concerned is how I feel. Am I panicky? No. Do I think that Mike McGlinchey can get the job done? Yes, because I've seen it. I also saw that Tom Compton got it done last year. And if Tom Compton can get it done, then Mike McGlinchey can 1,000% get it done. Am I worried about his injury? Absolutely. Do I think he can come back from it? Yes. It's not an easy recovery, though. It's questionable, right? It's concerning. I'm not worried, though. And then I don't know where Aaron Banks is. This was a guy who was a healthy scratch at the beginning of the year, and by the time we got to playoffs was, suiting up on game days. So he's definitely improved. The Niners coaching staff went from this guy can't be on the football field, we can't have him out there, to, yes, he's suited up, and if we need him, we can roll with him. All right, so there was definitely improvement in the coaching staff's eyes from Aaron Banks. The question now is was there enough improvement between the end of the last season and the start of this upcoming season in terms of the time he has, where he is the guy that you're comfortable with rolling at the guard position? I've said this. The Niners have nine guys currently under contract. 9 at the offensive line position. I mean, I imagine they'll roll into training camp with 11. Maybe you're going to draft one. So that leaves room for one other guy. Who is it? And you don't have the cap room right now. And the Niners... Listen, yes, they haven't traded Jimmy Garoppolo to free up $25 million, but they can free up money. They can still free up about $15-20 million by restructuring and extending some players, and they haven't done it, which means I don't think they plan to sign anyone big. It's not going to happen. So just buckle up, boys. It's free agency and ladies, boys and ladies. But buckle up because it's not the. I mean, Jordan Willis is. This is what you can expect. These are the breaking news episodes right now you can expect until Jimmy gets traded, which doesn't look like it's going to be any time soon. It really doesn't. It doesn't feel that way at all. A rumor I heard, Jimmy for Sam Darnold, says Ivan. I don't want that. Not because I don't think Sam Darnold would be a good backup. I think he would be a fine backup who could win some football games. But because he's got an $18 million cap hit. if you're trying to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo's $25 million cap hit this season or free up $25 million, you don't want to turn around and take 18 of that and pay it to Sam Darnold and have $7 million left. You just don't want to do that. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I feel better with Suds and 24 million, says Lou. Fair enough. Fair enough, Lou. I'm not with you there, but fair enough. Fair enough. I would feel better about having Jimmy G in that situation. Okay. No one keeps backup quarterbacks at that amount. I can't think of one example of that. I can. Different situation, but I can think of a situation. It was Tom Brady when Drew Bledsoe went down, came back, was healthy for the playoffs, and they stuck with Tom Brady anyway. Now, granted, the next year they traded Drew Bledsoe. They did trade Drew Bledsoe away and took a cap hit and freed up some money. But I mean, it has happened. It has happened before, just not in the same context. And where you have the guy, he starts the first year, you have the backup waiting in the wings. Like it doesn't happen typically. But just because something doesn't happen, just because something, Ant said this the other night on the pod. He said this last night in the live. Just because something, is easy doesn't make it the right decision. The easy thing is to just move Jimmy Garoppolo for a 7th, or to cut Jimmy Garoppolo and free up $25 million. That is the easy thing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing to do for your football team. And a lot of people can go, well, how could not bringing in other names around Trey, how could that not be good for him? Well, maybe because as a coaching staff, you feel you have the guys in place already that you feel they've developed enough that it doesn't matter with what Trey brings to the table. You also could feel there's guys in the draft that you can go get that is going to mitigate that and offset it, which means they may be waiting and holding on to Jimmy with the idea being, hey, we can trade him, after the draft if we don't get the guys we need to maybe free up some cap space and then make a trade to shore up certain positions if a team is feeling they got to move off of somebody. A lot of ways to do it. And unfortunately for all of us, right? Unfortunately for us peons who aren't in the front office, and that includes myself and everyone here watching, we're all peons. We don't get to hear about the front office. We don't hear from them. They don't leak anything. So there's no way to know. There's just no way to know. I'd love to know. I would absolutely love to have some inside information. I would really would. I really would. Let's see here. 49ers Fogies. Gary, how you doing this morning, man? Do you think John and Kyle believe they have an O-line that will work this year already? Maybe. Maybe. Mack, Banks, Brunskill, McGlinchey, Williams. Sorry, TCC. Sorry. But that might be what it is. It might be. Let's see. 49ers don't want to release Jimmy because Seattle will scoop him up for nothing. 420, they might. Jordan Willis must have agreed to play for a pack of hot dogs, not to sign with Denver and re-sign with us, says Mr. Corey. A pack of hot dogs, this guy. They're done with free agency, and now we're on to the draft, says Williams Roberts. Well, they're definitely not done with free agency because Jordan Willis just signed. So, I mean, there's definitely going to be things they do. So different than 21 years ago. Sign Max McCaffrey. I agree. Now that that might not be the best thing to do before free agency. It might have been, says Mr. Day. T. Matthew and Key. I would like Julio Jones cheap would be cool, said 427. I agree. Chauncey says Jimmy should have just been traded for a conditional. Trey's got to feel like he's not the man. There's no way Trey feels that way. Trey's just focused on his checklist. Kyle and John gave him a checklist in his exit interviews of things they wanted to see from him, things they wanted him developing and working on. That's all his focus is, right? That's all it is. The Jimmy situation, as much as people are talking about cutting Jimmy right now, you don't want to do that because he's got an injury clause. So if you do that now, he's not going to be able to pass a physical. If you cut him, he can't pass a physical. You're only going to end up saving like $7 million. So all this talk of freeing up 25, it doesn't happen if you cut Jimmy. Look, at the end of the day, they're going to put the ball in Trey's court. Trey's going to go work. Trey's going to go improve. Trey's going to go do the things he needs to do, build his chemistry with Ayuk, work on his footwork, work on his release, his mechanics, timing, being able to make rhythm throws, get the ball out on time when he's supposed to. And he's going to come into OTAs. Kyle's going to take a look at him. They're going to go through the base, the install. He's going to take a look at where he's at with the base installation last year compared to this year. They're going to get into training camp. Jimmy's still not going to be able to throw at that point. He's going to be just getting to a point where he's cleared, which means Trey's taking all the snaps. And Kyle, within a week or two of training camp, is going to have a great idea. This kid's ready or this kid's not ready. If he's not ready, Jimmy's probably staying around. If he's ready, they will either deal Jimmy for whatever they feel at that point as soon as the team wants to make the move on it, or okay. At that point, you free up the $25 million, you can go do whatever you want. That's what it is. That's the reality of what the situation that we're currently in right now. We need to put that on a shirt. The reality of the situation is with my stupid face and big schnoz on there. Gilmore is still out there with Matthew and Key, should come back as well. Says Dowdy, Julio on the cheap would make sense too. Yeah, a couple people have been saying that. Dowdy, you're not the only one. Big proponent of all those things. I like all those things. Tony Cha. I thought it said Tony Ma for a second. Tony Cha says Dearness Johnson still available. Yeah, he is. He is. Wouldn't be necessarily a bad option. Bargain. He's gonna be bargain basement. Not gonna get a lot of money. I imagine he's gonna end up back in Cleveland though, if I'm being honest, on a stupid cheap deal. 49ers need help on their offensive line, says Mark Mapp. Ugh, I it definitely feels that way. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch feel the same way, but it definitely feels that way. Ben V, this show is quickly becoming my favorite. Rational, no clickbait or panic about every little thing. You're welcome, Ben. I'm glad you're enjoying the 49ers Cutback. I'm glad you're enjoying the channel. We try not to. I mean, and Ant will tell you, Cutback crew, day ones will tell you too. If anyone here is the emotional one who might go a little crazy and over the top, it's me. And the fact that I'm not right now should tell you something about the situation we're in with the 49ers. Right? This is not a bad situation. Bringing back, Jordan Willis being the name that's getting reported this morning for the 49ers, there are worse things that could be going on right now. There are much worse things that could be going on for San Francisco. I know it's just not what everyone wanted. And I get it. I truly do get it. Because I remember being a fan early on in my fandom, I guess, where that's all I cared about were the big names. And as I started coaching and getting more into things, sometimes the big splash stuff isn't as important as it may appear. Now, there are times like the Rams do what they did and it pays out in their favor, and you're just sitting there going, why didn't we do that? Can we just do that? I get it. I truly do get it. But there are a lot of different ways to go about attacking this thing, and the Niners have their plan of attack. Just not a plan of attack anyone wanted to see. I saw Dottie said too, I'd sign Tart back as well. They still might. If Trey Lance don't got to mental make up to deal with Jimmy around, he won't make it. Okay. Ronnie. Yes? No? Maybe? Possibly? I don't know. We're not going to pay Gilmore. E-Man didn't allow a regular season touchdown. That is good as getting a few interceptions, in my opinion. And we just brought in another corner who will stabilize the scheme and the position. Luke, it would appear that way. It would appear that there's not another big name coming, that Stephon Gilmore wouldn't come. But I'd still like it, because I'd love Gilmore and Ward to be on the outside with E-Man in the slot. Personally, because we did get some touchdowns given up in the slot. So you put him in the slot, and then no touchdowns in the slot with Gilmore and Ward on the. Sounds good. It's just, are you going to pay that amount of money, and what's it going to cost? Just want to say thanks for all the work you all put in for us Niners fans. Mark, no worries, man. No worries. We enjoy doing it. We enjoy talking about this football team, and we enjoy talking with y'all, the Cutback crew. It's always fun to be communicating with all of you and talking football and talking our football team, because you guys all have different opinions. We have different opinions. Ant and I have different opinions. I'm really looking forward to the draft this year, because him and I have some very different views of players and guys the Niners could and should go after. So it might be a little more spicy here in the draft than in years past. Might be. We'll see. We'll see. We haven't shared as many positions as we did last year. We're kind of keeping stuff closer to the vest. 427. Playing injured Jimmy in playoffs is the reason 49ers are in this situation. Should have put Jimmy on IR after Lance beat Houston week 17, says 420 Savage. Okay. Maybe. Possibly. We would have put Lance in a lot of tough situations in the playoffs, though, and you might not have made an NFC Championship game. It's just something to keep in mind also. Lot of tough situations. Cowboys game, I don't think there would have been any issues, but going into the cold in Green Bay on the road, that's a tough situation for a young young quarterback to be in. What would be at that point, his 4th or 5th start in the league? That's a lot. And Jimmy was able to get enough done that night. So let's not forget, up until that second game against the Rams, or that third game against the Rams, Jimmy had done enough. Jimmy had done enough for this team to win football games. And that's all you're really trying to do is win football games at the end of the day. So it's frustrating. Who do you want them to draft, or are you saving that? We're saving that for when draft content comes out, Mr. Day-Day, which will be we're going to start transitioning into that next week. So probably towards the end of next week, we'll start transitioning into draft content. And then not too long after we do that, y'all will have the fan-controlled mock draft, in which you tell us what the Niners need to be doing, and we will be making the picks for you live on stream. So that'll be a lot of fun when we do that. So make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. Every time I say subscribe, people tend to hit the subscribe button. So hit that subscribe button right now. We're on the way to 3K. We're trying to get to 3,000 subs by draft day. So help us get there, and hit the like button while you're at it as well. Down there commenting and doing everything else that you're doing. It helps the channel. It promotes it out to the rest of the faithful and the Cutback crew who are not here or maybe didn't get the notification. And hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss when we go live. That would be nice for all of us. Let's see. I'm hoping this signing means they draft wide receiver early, says Travis Howard. It might, but it also might mean, Travis, that they like the rotation they had last year, and they don't want to add to it with a big name. They would rather go draft a guy early in order to shore it up. Could mean either. There's a lot of talented edge rushers. This year. So who knows? Who do you want in the draft? However high we pick. There's a lot of names. There's a lot of guys. There truly is, Mr. Corey. It's too broad for me, because I have like 12 guys I'd love them to walk away with. I just don't think they will, because I think some of them are going to go too high. And Erman Bravo, thank you for the subscription, man. Welcome to the Cutback crew. Sorry I don't have alerts up yet. I gotta get the alerts up over here at the home setup. I have to get the alerts up over here at the home setup, so we get one more for the good guys in chat, So give me a one more for the good guys in the chat, TCC. With all the big money receivers getting and guaranteeing money, how much is Deebo going to get? Same for Nick Bosa. Look, Deebo's probably going to get around 25 mil. It's going to be close to that. The fact that that's what Tyreke Hill is getting, it's going to be around that number. Might be a little bit less, but it's going to be around that number. And Bosa, right now, that 5th-year option is going to be about $20 million. When they inevitably accept it, and the Niners are going to accept that, his 5th-year deal, they're going to take that on. It's going to be about $20 million for that season. I imagine it's going to be closer to what the TJ Watt number was, right around that $30 million number mark. It's going to be in there. It's going to be more than Max Crosby made, most likely, as well. So nice thing is, though, the salary cap is going to explode over the next few years. So you're going to have cap space. You're going to have room. 49ers front office needs to decide to keep Jimmy G or kick him down the road. I don't think he's going to give 100% next season, says George. No way. Jimmy will 100% give. Will 100% give 100%. He's a professional. He's not going to phone it in. He didn't phone it in this last season. He had every reason to. Fan base calling for his head. Beat writers calling for his head. Team deciding to go with a younger quarterback as the future of the franchise rather than him, who just got them to a Super Bowl less than 2 years ago and helped get them back to an NFC Championship game. I mean, if there was ever a time to phone it in, last year was that time, and he didn't even do it then. So look, Jimmy is a professional. He's not going to do that. It's not going to happen. And the way this team is structured and built, things don't get outside that locker room, which means you're not going to see a lot of drama playing out in the media either. It's not the way it's going to happen. It really is. Let's see here. Neil. Nice to see you, Neil. I am struggling to see who Garoppolo could go to. Could we wait to see if a team like the Giants gives up on Daniel Jones, or as Peter King suggested, a Garoppolo for Donald trade? No, Garoppolo for Donald trade I don't think is in the books. I respect that Peter King opinion. I understand what he's trying to get at there. I understand what he's saying. But if you're the San Francisco 49ers, the whole reason to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo is to free up $25 million. You're not going to turn around and eat up $18 million of that with Sam Darnold's contract. You're not going to do it. Nope. Not happening. Not happening. Doesn't make sense. Unless the Panthers are willing to eat up some of that contract in some way, shape, or form, which I just don't think it's going to happen. Mr. Sweet says Trevor Penning is a 4'8", 40 guy, also 6'7", 325. Hope he's still around. I doubt he's going to be, Mr. Sweden. Love Trevor Penning. Doubt he's going to be available at 61. Highly doubt it. If he is, wonderful. Thank you, rest of the NFL teams for screwing that up. If he's not, I'm not going to be stunned. I won't be surprised if he goes in the first, to be honest with you. There may be teams looking at that going, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. 49ers should have left Jimmy in Tennessee. John Lynch agrees. Says 420 Savage because he had the accidental like of said tweet. Please, Jimmy almost single-handedly cost them the Cowboys game. No. Did he make a mistake? Yeah. But your defense has to hold, and your defense held. So it is what it is. There will be a need for Jimmy in this league. Some of these QBs will fall again, get injured, or Jimmy being good enough to being a good stopgap, he will find a spot, whether cut or restructured, then traded. Who knows? Possibly. Yeah, William, we saw Tyreke Hill traded to the Dolphins. A lot of draft picks, some first-round picks, and a $25 million extension for him as well. Back to a couple of things that people are talking about with Jimmy. I know, Neil, you had mentioned too, where could he go? Carolina seems like the likely situation and destination, and they did restructure Christian McCaffrey's contract to free up an extra $5 million to get themselves closer to eating Jimmy Garoppolo's contract and salary. But I'm not sure. There's not a lot of places right now. There really is not a lot of landing spots. So buckle up, because I think it's going to be now closer to draft or post-draft that it happens. I would imagine post-draft being the likely scenario. Them getting almost into training camp before any sort of deal gets agreed to, or him moving somewhere else. Gonna be interesting. Can you give more PFF ratings when talking about guys? Most here don't subscribe. Not that cheap, but good data. It is good data. Ant and I, though, don't typically just look at data. PFF, as sometimes their grading system is very good. It's very good. I mean, Trent Williams being off the chart, being the highest graded PFF player in history this last year is a good look for a PFF's grading system, because they're not wrong. He had a phenomenal year. However, there are plenty of times where they get things just god awfully wrong. Fred Warner's grade, for example, is a perfect example of that this year. I mean, the year he got the 2019 season, they have Fred Warner too as like a 60 something. It's a horrible grade for Fred Warner. They get things wrong a lot. PFF gets actually more players wrong in terms of their production and scheme fit and what they do for a team than they get right, in my opinion, based on the things that I've seen. So we tend to stay away from using PFF as like a reliable, justifiable, that is how sort of stat figure. It's more about the film. What does the film tell you? One of the big things this year with Fred Warner was a lot of people talking about how, Fred he's dropped off. He got paid, he got the bag, and he's not playing that well. And then you watch the film and it's like, no. Teams are just making sure they block Fred Warner so that he can't make plays. Fred was eating double teams early in the season when the run game wasn't doing well. He was having to eat double teams. He was getting two guys, being thrust at him consistently, and they were putting the onus on Azeez Al-Shaair to make plays. And early on, he struggled, and then he grew, and then started making plays. And the minute that happened, teams couldn't do that anymore. Teams couldn't do that. And then your front four got even better. And once that happened, and you got Dre Greenlaw back into the fold with Azeez elevating, then Fred was able to start shining there towards the end of the season, making the plays that we all knew Fred could make. But again, when you have weaknesses or areas of weakness, teams are going to take away strengths. They're going to not let your best players make plays, and that's what teams were doing to Fred early in the season. Also, Fred was having to play out of position. He was being forced to play outside linebacker, and Azeez was playing the inside role. So when you're doing that, you're playing out of position, it's going to change, your production level in terms of what you're doing as a tackler. Because you're playing outside the box, covering in space on RPOs, and then having to come back downhill, and Fred was still able to do that. He was able to take away RPO looks and then get back into the box and make tackles. That's crazy. Not many guys in the league who could do stuff like that. Fred Warner is one of those guys. He definitely is one of those guys. Will Jimmy be our backup if not traded? It's possible. It's also possible that he could start. I know, but it is possible. You have to consider it. It is a possibility. Let's see. Grant is saying Jimmy will be the week 1 starter. If so, I'm not watching unless Trey is playing as Travis Cooper. I get it, man. Everyone's frustrated. Everybody's frustrated. Everyone wants something else. I don't know why Grant would say that. He's a big Trey Lance guy. I don't know why he would say that. You got to believe. If you believe Trey Lance is that much better than Jimmy Garoppolo, then how can he not beat him out in training camp? You would think he'd be able to beat him out in training camp. I don't know why people are worried. This is the guy that Kyle wanted. He wanted Trey Lance. I mean, that can't even be argued anymore. He 100% wanted Trey Lance. John Beck works with him. John Beck and him are boys. John Beck put together his pro day. I mean, he wanted Trey Lance. So if he wanted Trey Lance, he's going to get every opportunity he needs to start. Especially this offseason. Jimmy defends both QB theirs are injury prone, says Olivia. Hey, me and Ed joked about this as being a possibility. It doesn't feel like that's the case. It feels like they're all in with Tua Tagovailoa. But if Tua were to get hurt or something, you never know. What about Patrick Peterson or Joe Hayden? Older guys, vet options? Possible. I don't know if the Niners going to do that, though. They've gone young at the cornerback position. Emmanuel Mosley, under the age of 27. Charvarius Ward, under the age of 27. Didn't re-sign K1 Williams. 2 young guys behind that as well. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's something they're really going to do. Problem with what you just said is that Fred Warner acknowledged he was overthinking to start the season. No, that actually kind of proves what I just said, right? He was overthinking to start the season because Dre Greenlaw was hurt. He was out. Fred was having to fill a role that he normally doesn't have to fill because Dre's out in the football field. He's playing out of position. He's trying to do more than what is typically asked of him, so he's overthinking about his job and what he's supposed to be doing. It actually kind of goes more into what I said, right? He's not doing his typical role. He's not playing in his typical spot. He's not doing what he typically has to do, which he knows how to do. He's been doing now for 3-4 seasons, right? He's having to take on a role that he hasn't been asked to take on before. And because of that, he's thinking about what his new role is and what he's used to doing and trying to find a way to balance between the two. Because he still has to do both, right? He still has to be the leader of the defense and make the big plays, but he also needs to be able to go out there and cover those RPOs in space. It's different. And when you got that kind of thing out there and you're getting tugged between two worlds in terms of what you're supposed to mean to this team and what the team needs you to do right now, that's really hard. That's hard on a guy. And it's hard to necessarily play at your peak when that kind of stuff's happening. I truly believe that's 100% what was happening. And when Fred said those comments, I was kind of like, yeah, I feel you. I know what that feels like. Not at the professional level, obviously. not at the professional level. I don't see any team taking on Jimmy's contract. Sadly, he's going to be cut before his contract needs to be paid. Maybe, Renee. It is possible. There's no world where I don't watch the 49ers, whether it's Mullins, Sudfeld, Lance, or Jimmy. I'm sorry, whether Sonny or rating. I love this team. Goes far beyond one position for me. Hey, there's a lot of people who feel that way, and there's also a lot of people that are just frustrated with it. I get it, Travis. I do. I'm a diehard 49er fan, but not a Jimmy fan. Tired of the mistakes, bro. Time to move on. That's why we got Trey. It feels like that's why we did get Trey. But as of right now, we're still in limbo. It still feels like this is Trey's team going forward into the future. Just question, is the future now or is it later? I don't know. I really don't know. Dang, the Dolphins making big moves this offseason. But how bad? You have to when you don't make the playoffs. When you have a talented roster and miss the playoffs again for like the nth consecutive year, however many years it's been, right? They had to do this. They had to bet on this roster with this team. They had to. And they're doing it. They had the cap space to do it. They're doing it. They definitely are. Exactly. If Trey can't beat Jimmy G out in camp, then why would we start him over Jimmy? We are not a rebuilding team. We're built to win now. If Trey can't beat can beat Jimmy out, great. But if not, question mark. That might be the thought process. I don't know if that is though, John. I mean, I was just spitballing in terms of like if Jimmy is still on the roster, right? If he's still here, then what's the harm in a quarterback competition? You might as well do it, especially since Jimmy is not going to be able to compete. So Trey's going to have every opportunity to show that, hey, look, I can do all the things Jimmy can do. All the things Jimmy did for this team last year, I can do those. Plus, you see this thing right here? This is a bad boy. This thing can throw, right? I can launch this thing like probably like 1,000 yards over those mountains over there. Right, coach, you put me in, we win the state title. Like he can Uncle Rico, except actually do it, right? He's not just out in the field filming himself for memory's sake. Like Trey Lance can actually physically do it. Oh boy. Well, Warner also said the money was weighing on him a little bit as well. Well, I think the money was weighing on him, Luke. I think the money's weighing on him because he wasn't being able to do the things that he got paid the money to do. Because he was being asked to do something else. So he's doing something else, having just signed this fat contract, and he's like, I'm not doing what they paid me to do. I'm doing something else. And that had to be stressful. I can only imagine how stressful that had to have been. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy. It can't be easy. How could it be? Shooter, what is up, my guy? How you doing, my guy? Coffee for Alex. Alex needs some coffee, man. After all this craziness, I 100% need coffee. Dolphins have the same guy that does the budget for the Rams. Damn. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at that. 50% likes. Yeah, hit that like button. We're at 51 right now. We're at 51 right now. Let's get to McGlinchey number of nights. Let's get to 69. Lol. Let's get to 69 likes. Get that thing up there. 18 more to go. Hit that like button, Cutback crew. Hit that thing right now. Travis Cooper and better. Hey, Fogey. Say hey, Travis. I mean, look, it's a crazy time. It's crazy times. There's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the offseason right now in the NFL. A lot of teams making big moves, going all in. It is nuts. It is nuts that this is going on. And I think what's crazy right now, what's absolutely crazy about this whole situation, this whole thing, is the fact that you're now going to have on the same football team Raheem Mostert and Tyreke Hill, the two fastest guys at their position, in a Mike McDaniel's offense. Megan, my fiance Megan, one of the mods here in the chat. She's a Patriots fan. She is punching air right now at work. Punching air. Somebody clip that. That's got to be a meme. Somebody clip that right now. That's got to be a meme. Should we bring back Kerry Hyder back since he had a great season with us? William, it's possible. It's always possible, man. It's always possible. He plays his best football with Chris Kasarik. He really does. So the Niners 100% could do that, and it might make sense. It might be a depth to add. We'll see, though. We'll see. They may be ready to move on. They may be ready to move on from that. But yeah, please, somebody 100% clip that. And if you clip that clip, it just lets you post it right here in the comment section. So clip that, please. Tony Chow, Waddle is a speedster too. That's right. They got Waddle. You're also going to have probably Devontae Parker, Preston Williams. You have Gesicki back as well with Mostert and Tyreek Hill now. McDaniels has no excuses. Here's the thing. Everyone's been like, dang, McDaniels going all in. Dang, the Dolphins going to be a problem. The whole AFC is a problem. The whole AFC is a problem. And he's still got to deal with the Bills and Josh Allen and that team. They're going all in right now. If they don't make the playoffs this year, Mike McDaniels might be in the hot seat. One year, and he might be on the hot seat. They are betting on Mike, and they are betting on this roster. That is a lot of pressure for a first-year head coach. That is a lot of pressure for a first-year head coach with a quarterback who is not proven. Because Tua Tagovailoa is not proven. He isn't. They could very well be dangerous, John. You're not wrong. They could be dangerous. They have to be dangerous. If McDaniels wants to be in a position where he's around for a while, is Frank going to retire a Niner? Asking for a friend, says George Hernandez. I would imagine he would. I'm surprised he hasn't come out and announced a retirement yet, to be honest with you. I'm kind of surprised by that. So I don't know. I don't know what Frank's idea is here. I don't know if he thinks he still has it or not, but I imagine that information will be coming out sooner rather than later. You would think. You definitely would. Tua is still the one pulling the trigger, though. You're right. He is. Right? That you're going all in, but you're going all in with Tua Tagovailoa, an unproven quarterback at the position. And you're rebuilding a roster. All of these pieces also have to mesh together and fit. All of them have to fit. They all have to fit. If they don't fit, you're going to have a situation where you spend a lot of money and you're nowhere closer to being where you need to be. Nowhere closer where it needs to be. I sent you a screenshot, Alex, through your email. I happened to pause the video at the perfect spot. I thought it was funny. You guys never responded. Did you get it? I'll have to check. I don't have my email up on the computadora at the moment, so I'll have to go through. I'll go through my phone right now and see if it came through, because that is going to be absolutely glorious. Absolutely glorious. You send it to 40hourscutback@gmail.com. By the way, if you guys ever want to get a hold of us, that's the best way. 49erscutback@gmail.com or Twitter. Just at 49ers Cutback. One of the two. I did not get anything yet, Luke. You can also send it to me on Discord, Luke. I think you're on the Discord. If you're on the Discord, send it there. And if anyone else wants to be on the Discord, you 100% can. Links popping up right now in the chat. Been watching the Niners since the 83. I've seen a lot myself. There you go. I get it. Have you ever seen anything like this free agency period, Travis? That's the question for you. Have you ever seen anything like this free agency period? Because this has been wild. Wild free agency. Super wild. Just nuts. Absolutely nuts, man. Everything that has happened has been crazy. Just crazy. Trying to do that. That was a mistake. That was a mistake, TCC. It was a mistake. That was a mistake. All right, there we go. I tried to create the highlight myself. I just don't have the capabilities to do all of this at the moment at the same time. Not comparing skills, but when you consider it took him 9 seasons to win a Super Bowl, today's Niners fans would have traded Peyton Manning after 3 losing seasons. Possibly. I think a lot of Niners fans were spoiled. We've said this before in the podcast. I know I mean it when I say it, because I am spoiled. I know I'm spoiled as a fan. We're spoiled. A lot of great quarterbacks. 5 Super Bowls. For the longest time, that was tied for the most of any organization in the NFL. It's just an expectation. It comes with this team. Let's not forget, though, before Joe Montana, this organization was rock bottom, it felt like. Before Montana came in and Walsh kind of changed the culture, the culture was not good. It was not a good culture. There were some good pieces and things of the culture, but you brought the right pieces in. DeBartolo brought the right guys in. And you were able to take a culture that had some promise and some positive things about it, an organization that had some good things about it, and transform it right into a premier location and destination. And as 49ers fans now, you don't want to lose that. You just don't want to lose it. So I understand why people are the expectation, the bar set high. I'll never fault people for shooting for the stars and wanting the best for their team. Like, that's just silly. Of course you want the best for your team. Just try and keep in mind. Everyone try and keep in mind. Everyone's got a little bit different spin on how that may be, right? How you get that best version of your roster and your team. So just try your best to understand it, listen the best you can, communicate and talk with one another. The more you talk about it, and John Anthony, welcome to the Cutback crew, my guy. One more for the good guys. I always love that. Always love it. But it's just, it's one of those things where I'm never going to fault somebody for wanting the team to shoot for the stars. But, at least try and understand what other people feel. Like, if they don't agree with you on this and the decisions being made, like, it's all good. It's all good. We all want the same thing. If you're a true 49ers fan, you want the same thing. You want this team to win a Super Bowl. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. And I've said this numerous times in this podcast. We don't care if we're right or wrong about, guys they should go after, guys they should target, guys they sign, guys they don't. It's nice when you're right. It's like validated, right? It's like, oh, okay, cool. I was on the same page as the 49ers front office. That's awesome. But at the end of the day, I could be dead wrong about every person I'll ever talk about. I could be dead wrong. I'm hoping I'm dead wrong on Trey Lance, because if you all have been around for a long time here on the Cutback, then you know what my thoughts were initially, which was I didn't think we should take Trey at 3. If the choices were Mac Jones or Trey Lance, then you 100% take Trey Lance. You don't take Mac Jones. But I ideally didn't want Trey at 3 because I thought he needed 2 years. I thought he needed 2 years before he was going to be at a point where he could be ready. Like, legitimately ready. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes in and just lights it up. And he can. He definitely can do that. I would prefer to be wrong in this situation. I really would. Because if I'm wrong, then this team is going to be balls to the wall insane this upcoming season. And I'm all for that. I'm all for balls to the walls insane for this organization and this offense. That's what I want. If the Niners do decide to trade Jimmy for Darnold, could they restructure Darnold's contract? They could extend it to free up some money. But that means keeping Sam Darnold around, and you've also already guaranteed $2 million to Nate Sudfeld. That's a lot of money in your quarterback room still, and you're keeping 3 around. Oosh. I don't know, man. It's just, it's concerning. Ronnie, how you doing, my guy? What's up, crew? What is up, sir? Jed York is 1,000 times better than his dad. I like him. Look, Jed York has evolved too as an owner. let's not forget the doldrums that were Chip Kelly and Thomasula, and betting on bulky, right? And those silly decisions that he made very early on, and wanting to be heavily involved in the organization. Jed York did not start off great as an owner, but Jed York is evolving. He's changing. And that's the important part. Because if as an owner you're changing, right? That means eventually you're going to get to a point where you've seen enough and understand the game enough and understand how the league works enough that you know how to adapt and evolve your style, when you spend, when you don't, in order to keep your team relevant and to keep your team contending and competing and eventually, hopefully, winning numerous, not just one Super Bowl, but multiple Super Bowls. Jed York is still in that evolution period as an owner. He's still relatively new to the owner game, and he's still, on the younger side for most owners. So I like this. I like this. And Ronnie, Montoya, as of right now, no new news on Arden Key's visits. I know he's taken 2. I haven't heard about a third yet anywhere else. But the fact that he's left both and there's been no news potentially means that he could be coming back to San Francisco and saying, hey, they said this. They said this. Can you get a little closer? Is there anything we can do? Maybe, possibly. Who knows? Ernest said, let's go. I believe in it's Trey's turn. So much ability. Everybody's afraid to change, but you shouldn't be. There's 2 schools of thought, right? The grass isn't always greener on the other side, and the grass is greener on the other side. One of them requires you to change and take a risk, and one of them requires you to stay where you're at. It seemed like the Niners were ready to change and make a change. Jimmy being gone makes people think that maybe they're going to steadfast with what they're at. It could just mean that they're waiting. They're waiting till the right moment to unload and to make the change. We'll see. Time is our ally as 40. It's our ally and our curse as 49ers fans, right? The longer we wait, the more likely it is that, you're in limbo, but the likely it is that the Niners are waiting because they want a certain number for Jimmy, which they can't get until he clears his physicals and is back to throwing a football. So it could be our friend. It also could be our greatest foe. And for some people, the bane of their existence. Or in Thanos' case, talking points. All throughout the draft, talking points. What are the odds of us re-signing Key? I don't know. I don't know. Well, if we take it as a mathematical equation, there's 3 teams currently in play, us and 2 other teams that he's talked to. So a 1/3 chance. So at the moment, 33.3333 repeating percent. But I think it's probably closer to like 45. There's that. Kinlaw having his knee drained this week. Yeah, he had knee surgery. And when you're doing rehab and things of that nature, you're going to have your knee swell up and fluid build up and things of that nature. So he's going to have it drained. He'll have some rest. He'll go back through rehab, go back through processes. That's going to be something he deals with until he's 100% cleared and healthy, which I imagine would be closer to, training camp, not OTA's training camp, most likely. Hey, Gary, we signed Willis. We did sign Willis, Jordan Willis, not Patrick Willis. Jordan Willis back into the fold in San Francisco, doing his thing, adding big time stuff for this team, which is always a good thing. It's always good to have depth and shore up depth. Juju Smith-Schuster's deal with the Chiefs, by the way, $2.49 million guaranteed is what's being reported by Albert Breer. And someone said multiple picks for Tyreke Hill, and it was the trade. Oh, so hold on. The Chiefs and Jets had a place in trade in place for Tyreke Hill. Chiefs would have gotten picks 35, 38, and 39. Jets would have gotten Hill and pick number 103. So it did not include a first round pick. So the Dolphins came in essentially and just offered up the first and took the deal away. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Wow. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that the Dolphins would come in at the last hour and literally Mike McDaniels would just jump up onto the high ground? Appreciate the early live, says Luke Luna, $2 super chat. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you being here. Hey, yo. Hey, yo, indeed, man. I wish Houston wanted Garoppolo. They have a second and Carolina doesn't, or a third. They still could, Mr. Corey. You could get through OTAs and trading camp, and they could be. Lovie Smith could be looking at Davis Mills and being like, oh, God, no. Just no. We're not doing this. It's not happening. Get me Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, it still could happen. 100% could happen. Mike McDaniel is trying to make a splash his first year as a head coach. You're not wrong, Ronnie. He is definitely trying to make a splash. And so far, so good for him on that front. So far, so good for him. Jordan Willis back in San Francisco, 1-year deal. It's going to be minimum. And the Niners have shored up depth rotation. They've shored up the depth in the rotation in this room. Here's the question: are Trey and Sudfeld a better duo for us than Jimmy and Trey? I say no. I'd go with the latter. Possibly. Alex, I sent you the email again. Look for. Okay. I will take a look for a high stow one. I'll take a look for a high stow one. It also could just be my phone acting slow. Jaily. It could just be that. Oh, there it is. I just want to make sure I could see it. That's amazing, my guy. That is absolutely. I don't know if the cutback crew can see that or not. It's all blurry. That is absolutely incredible. I just need you to know something, Luke. That is now going to be the Twitter profile picture. My guy. At Alex Paul Cessanio on Twitter if you want to see it. That is glorious. How much better you think Mills than Jimmy? I don't think he's better than Jimmy right now. I think his ceiling is potentially Jimmy. I know Ant's a lot higher on Davis Mills than I am. So maybe he thinks he could be a better version of Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's probably a little bit more mobile right now than Jimmy Garoppolo is. So right now he's not better than Jimmy, but he's healthier than Jimmy. And if you're a rebuilding team, you don't want to necessarily have the money on a contract like that. 120 for Hill makes Deebo's contract look pretty high. It does, but I don't know if it'll be higher than that. It's going to be probably right around that number. Mike over there making big dog moves. Well, I don't know if Mike is so much as the general manager for the Dolphins is making big time moves, but he's giving Mike McDaniels weapons he needs for the offense to have success, which means Mike better have success. He has no excuses. They like Tua Tagovailoa. Mike is there to bring the best out of Tua Tagovailoa, and he's given them all of the weapons and the offensive line he needs in order to do it. The Dolphins were like, it's over, Jets. I have the high ground. They basically did. If y'all saw, Lombardi asked for a meme this morning. He wanted a Star Wars meme with Kyle Shanahan sitting on the throne as the Emperor, and Robert Saleh and Mike McDaniels duking it out over Tyreke Hill. Moi provided for him. So every 49ers fan is welcome for that. And then the even best, the icing on top of the cake of that was that Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins ended up landing him. And of course, I had to Photoshop Mike McDaniels onto Luke Skywalker, who wins that duel and ends up, I guess, walking away the hero in that sense, even though Vader is the one who technically saves him. That's beside the point. Luke won the duel between the two, and it was a duel over Tyreke Hill. So, I mean, I just nailed it. This morning. It was absolutely great. The Podpotter featuring Al Casano. And maybe we make that a show. Maybe we make that a show here on the 49ers Cutback. Do you see us making any free agent moves to shore up the O-line as a starter? I don't think so, Sean. It doesn't feel like it. I mean, the only move I could see is Daniel Brunskill signing his tender. It really does feel like Jalen Moore and Aaron Banks are about to duke it out for the final spot, is what it feels like. It really does. Mr. Corey now watching Mostert stay healthy. It could happen, man. It could happen, and I will just be... I'll just be so sick. I'll be absolutely so sick if that happens. It'll just be frustrating. Let's not also forget they also have Chase Edmonds to throw into that mixture there. They really do. Jets, I hate you. I hate you. You're right. Yes, 100%. 100% right. Jets are going crazy. I would be. All you had to do was offer up the first. That's all you had to do was offer up the first round pick, and you would have landed Tyreke Hill. The Dolphins are like, we got extra first. Here you go. Here you go. Trade Jimmy G to Miami for future picks to go get Wagner. Hey, listen, I've said it here on the past. I would love to have Bobby Wagner in San Francisco. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, and as of right now, it doesn't feel like there's a landing spot for Jimmy other than Carolina, and I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger right now. I really don't. So look, you take Tony Manders, sign Tony Manders. As of right now, you take this, right? You take Jordan Willis being back into the fold in San Francisco, 1-year deal. It's going to be very cap friendly for this team. It's not going to cost more than about probably $1.035 million. Somewhere in that range is what I'm going to predict right now. And on top of that, you have your depth with the DNs anyway. You have depth. They can still address it by going after some other guys. They could still draft some guys to make it even better and make it an even more impactful situation. But time time is what is going to answer a lot of questions for 49ers fans and wanting to know, you're going to Levi's to protest when Jimmy starts. I will not be protesting any way, shape, or form. I won't be protesting. There's no reason to protest. I have faith that this is going to work out the way it needs to. I have faith. That's all I can say. I have faith. I am the homerist of homers at this point. I don't know. I've always said this. I don't care who starts at quarterback so much as, you win football games. I remember younger when this situation went down with Smith and Kaepernick, how upset I was because I was a big Alex Smith fan. I had followed him since his time at Utah. I wanted Aaron Rodgers in the draft, but I didn't hate Alex Smith going to San Francisco. I liked Alex Smith as a person. I thought he was highly intelligent. I thought he had an opportunity to be something important and special. And when it didn't start off great, it was upsetting to watch, but I just wanted him to eventually get over the hump. And when he eventually did and the team started winning football games, it was like, great. And when Cap came in and, Smith went out with a concussion and then he was back healthy and didn't get a spot back, I was upset. I definitely was. But you can ask a lot of guys that I knew at the time. The minute we got into the playoffs and Cap was still winning football games, it was like, okay, I'm on board. We're still winning. We're still playing really good football despite the fact that you changed at quarterbacks. Like, okay. Like, personal feelings aside about me liking Alex Smith, the guy who's in there right now is winning football games. And until that doesn't happen, I'm rolling with that guy. And I was that way with Cap all the way up until he started struggling, like heavily struggling. Once he started losing football games a lot and was making a lot of mistakes, and remember that Bears game where he threw like 5 picks and I think 1 or 2 of them were pick sixes. I remember sitting there going, it might be time. It might be time to go a different direction. It might be. So I'm always going to be that way with this team. I'm always going to put the play on the field and winning football games above personal feelings. Try to anyway. And it's hard. It's hard because as someone who likes Jimmy Garoppolo, I understand the upside with Trey Lance. I get it. I truly, truly get it. And so if that's the route we go, then great. And it makes sense. And let's win games. Let's win football games. If we can win football games the same way with Trey Lance that we won with Jimmy Garoppolo, then let's do it. I'm okay with that. Because I know there's also a possibility that we'll start winning different ways once Trey is like 100% fully ready. But if Trey can win games the same way Jimmy Garoppolo won, then it makes sense to do it. You free up the money, you're a cheaper option, and there's always the potential upside of what Trey Lance can bring to a game and to the field. So, I mean, there's that. Mike Nolan wanted to be the biggest D in the room, which is why he passed over Rodgers. Stupid to take a quarterback from the spread versus the West Coast offense that we were running. It's true. It was a silly situation. Well, hindsight's 2020. Silly situation. Alex Smith did tear it up in college. People forget that. He tore it up in college. He took a Utah program that was nothing and helped put them on the main stage. Like, they were nothing. They had never made a bowl appearance. They'd never been ranked in the top 10, and all of a sudden they were playing in a bowl game and winning. He did do a lot there. Niners' recent pickups have been pretty good, and Jimmy is the only rotten apple. I disagree with that, man. We got to 2 NFC Championship games in the Super Bowl. I wouldn't say rotten. I wouldn't say rotten. I mean, I understand you're frustrated. I'm not gonna go. I can't do that. I can't go far as to say rotten. That's not a bad situation there. I'm an Niners fan over a player fan. I like the players in the NFL, but I root for whoever is playing for the Niners. I like that. It's called being a 49er fan. I know, shocking, Art the Collector and Shooter, right? It's just rooting for your team, no matter who's where. Shooter, accurate. You guys are right. I'm not a fan of average QBs. I want to swing for the fences. Hey, I want to swing for the fences too, and that's what you're trying to do with Trey Lance. So we'll see. We will 100% see what happens. Cutback crew, though, I'm going to wrap this thing up. If there's any more breaking news, Ant and myself, or Ant, or both of us, someone will be alive to break more news for you when the time comes. Make sure you've hit that like button. Make sure you've hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss any more breaking news. Jordan Willis back in San Francisco. Mike McDaniels and the Dolphins going all in for Tyreke Hill and giving up multiple picks, including first-round picks. Absolutely insane. Absolutely incredible. If one of you really did not clip the me punching air, I am going to be so upset and have to go back and do it myself. And that's just frustrating. But it's fine. I love all of you. Hey, fun chat, fun live stream. Jordan Willis back. Rotation, a little bit more secured, a little bit more deep. We'll see what other moves the 49ers could potentially make. And Jimmy Garoppolo Watch 2022 is still in full effect. But until the next one, Cutback Crew and the Faithful, stay safe. And remember, the right way is always, it's always the 49ers way.